We've got something for everyone today, from hardware failures to drama and even a game showcase. So let's check it out. Welcome back to A Few Bits of News. I'm TB Sliver, and today we're going over a few bits of news from the gaming industry and adjacent areas over the past week. If you recall, back in July, Amazon's MMORPG New World got accused of bricking the quite pricey RTX 3090s because the menus ran at an uncapped frame rates, which got quickly patched. Well, EVGA not only sent out replacements, but launched its own investigation into why those cards failed. At the start of the month, EVGA shared its finding with PCWorld.com. The 24 bricked cards they received, EVGA discovered the cards were all from an early production line in 2020. After running an X-ray on those cards, they discovered poor workmanship on the soldering around the card's MOSFET circuits that make up the voltage regulator module, which, as the name suggests, manages the voltages to the important parts of the card. One theory EVGA dismissed was that of its fan controller unable to keep up with the load of the game. EVGA explained this away as noise on the I2C bus, with third-party tools like Hardware Info and GPU-Z incorrectly reporting the noise as a fan control failing, whereas its own tool Precision X1 would filter out the noise and correctly report the information. EVGA issued a microcontroller update, and the third-party tools have since been updated, although EVGA has recommended use of its own software still. EVGA seemed confident the issue with the cards was limited to that small batch. Without stating actual sales numbers, they said it only impacted less than 1% of the total sold. In other news, those waiting on Amazon's other game, Lost Ark, will have to wait a little longer. The Amazon published title tweeted out on the 1st of September that based on the technical alpha feedback and based on recent changes to Korean version of the game will be delayed until early 2022. Although the tweet states we will not have to wait that long to see the game again, as a closed beta will be November 4th to the 9th, with their official Discord and forums opening up in October, ready for that beta. The start of last week didn't go well for the publisher Tripwire Interactive, as its CEO John Gibson publicly tweeted his support for the controversial Texas anti-abortion law. That went into effect the previous week. The law, which allows anyone anywhere to sue anyone connected to an abortion in which cardiac activity was detected in the embryo. This is as early as 6 weeks into the pregnancy, before most women even realise they're pregnant, regardless of the circumstance. Needless to say, his stance was less than well received, with social media and outcry, including other game directors and high-profile known names, and with content creators announcing boycotts to Tripwire's whole catalogue, including that of game Chivalry 2, in which the teams who had worked together on the game responded with their own stance on the matter. Atlanta, Georgia-based co-developer Shipwright Studio, who also developed Shark Sim Maneater, swiftly tweeted out their response in a reply. While your politics are your own, the moment you make them a matter of public discourse, you entangle all of those working for and with you. We have worked closely alongside the talented and passionate developers at Tripwire and your partners for the last 3+ years. We know it is difficult for employees to speak up or act out in these scenarios, and they may not feel comfortable to speak their minds. It is regrettable, but we feel it would be doing ourselves, your employees, your partners, and the industry as a whole a disservice to allow this pattern to continue without comment. We started Shipwright with the idea that it was finally time to put our money where our mouth is. We cannot in good conscience continue to work with Tripwire under the current leadership structure. We will begin the cancellation of our existing contracts effective immediately. Torn Banner Studios, the main studio of Chivalry 2, had this to say in their own tweet. We do not share the opinion expressed in a recent tweet by the president of Tripwire, publisher of Chivalry 2. This perspective is not shared by our team, nor is it reflected in the game we create. The statement stands in opposition to what we believe about women's rights. As a result of all this, Gibson was forced to step down and Alan Wilson took the role as interim CEO at Tripwire. Tripwire issued this statement on their site. The comments given by John Gibson are of his own opinion and do not reflect those of Tripwire Interactive as a company. His comments disregarded the values of our whole team, our partners, and much of our broader community. Our leadership team at Tripwire are deeply sorry and are unified in our commitment to take swift action and to foster a more positive environment. Effective immediately, John Gibson has stepped down as CEO of Tripwire Interactive. Co-founding member and current Vice President Alan Wilson will take over as interim CEO. Alan has been with the company since its formation in 2005 and is an active lead in both the studio's business and developmental affairs. Alan will work with the rest of the Tripwire leadership team to take steps with employees and partners to address their concerns, including executing a company-wide town hall meeting and promoting open dialogue with Tripwire leadership and all employees. His understanding of both the company's culture and the creative vision of our games will carry the team through this transition, with full support from the other Tripwire leaders. How this will impact the company going forward is unknown, nor has Shipwright responded to this as of writing. We will keep you updated. Last week, Krem stayed awake well past the old man's bedtime. I know, when does he ever do that? To watch 40 minutes of Sony goodness in their, as they put it, PlayStation 5 focused showcase. In saying that, they had a little something for everyone. And oh boy, did they come out swinging! Darkness, talk of lies, a lightsaber, and then half the world squealed in delight as Revan appeared on screen, as the official announcement of Knights of the Old Republic's remake happened, as a timed PS5 exclusive with PC at a later date. Shame this was leaked months ago. Next was a first look at Project Eve. Krem describes this as Bayonetta-like combat with a monster design of that of anime movie Straight Jacket. All he kept doing is saying, "Eyes in eyes!" No date given, sadly. The gun quota for the event was maxed out next as Tiny Tina's Wonderland was showcased. Just more guns, magic, guns, Ashley Birch spouting chaos as Tina, and did we mention guns? It's due out next March. If anything was going to really show off its engine was the next game, that of Square Enix's Forspoken. We got a lot of gameplay shown, along with the scope of the world, magic, and a few of the characters, with lead character Frey and Cuff bantering to Uncharted levels of quip. Speaking of which, Amy Hennig is writing this along with Gary Whitta, writer of Rogue One, Alison Reimer and Todd Stashwick, with Bear McCreary of God of War 2018 and Gary Shyman of Bioshock fame heading up the music. There are some very big hitters behind this one. It's due out on PS5 and PC spring next year. Next we had a small trailer from Rainbow Six Extraction. Krem recommends you go back to the Ubisoft E3 event for a deeper look at that one. Next was the official announcement of the leaked Alan Wake remake, coming to both PlayStation platforms, no date given during the event. Next was the trailer to the remastered Grand Theft Auto 5's gameplay. Sadly, the biggest news from this is at the time Rockstar announced its delay from the expected November date to March of next year. It's due on PlayStation 5 and Xbox Series X and S. Bethesda showed off gameplay to the PlayStation exclusive Ghostwire Tokyo, which has been absent since its buyout by Microsoft last year. The gameplay looks good if you like your first-person action horror titles. Due on PS5 and PC in spring next year. It pains Krem to type this, but Guardians of the Galaxy was given more time to show its story and feature more characters Quill and the team will interact with. But as it's due out October this year, he's not going to say much about it, because spoilers. Battle Royale VTM Blood Hunt was given a small trailer showing off some of its gameplay, and an area we have yet to see in our session of it. It's due on PlayStation this year. Also, Deathloop was given a story trailer straight after, that's due tomorrow. Followed by a collab between Epic and Radiohead with Kid A Amnesiac, a virtual exhibition due on PlayStation and the Epic Game Store in November. Finally, extended gameplay of Tropical Island adventure Chia was shown. This is a PlayStation and Epic Game Store exclusive, due 2022. To round out the night, the presentation put a spotlight on its own PlayStation Studio titles. To start with, we got another remaster, well, two, as Uncharted 4 and Lost Legacy are getting remastered under Uncharted Legacy of Thieves Collection, coming to PS5 and PC. Yes, this is the next PlayStation exclusive to come to PC. Both versions are due early 2022. Switching the order around a little as we took an extended look at Gran Turismo 7, and we mean that literally, as it was a lot of panning shots of parts of cars. Oh, there was gameplay, but we know people just wanted the sweet polygon car porn. It's due March, exclusive to PS5. The reason for the order switch is because Insomniac threw a 1-2 punch, but someone at Sony threw GT7 between the blows. The left jab was expected as Spider-Man 2 was announced, showing both Peter, Miles, and in the shadows, Venom, due in 2023. However, the right uppercut was Insomniac were working on another title, that of Wolverine, date as of yet unknown. To finish off the night, people expected it, Sony delivered, that of 2018's God of War sequel, Ragnarok. We got the first look at its gameplay and featured characters finally. As it's the direct sequel and the supposed conclusion to the Norse saga, Krem is keeping this one to himself, as he highly recommends to go and play the first one. The game is due on both PS4 and 5, no date yet given. That may be the end of the showcase, but not the end of the Sony news, as a day earlier the PlayStation blog announced it had acquired Playroom devs Firesprite, consisting of former members of the axed Wipeout team Studio Liverpool. I guess time is a flat circle. Going a little further back, the weekend prior, Sony got into a bit of hot water when they announced on the blog that versions of Guerrilla's Horizon Forbidden West up for pre-order, of which there were many. What got under people's skin was the announcement that if you wanted to have the game for both PlayStation systems, you would need to purchase the digital deluxe or higher versions of the game, leaving standard and special edition players having to buy a second time. This was a complete reversal of Guerrilla's promise of all versions will be upgraded for free. Of course, there was backlash over this, so Jim Ryan, president and CEO of Sony Interactive Entertainment, stepped in and updated the blog post with his comments, stating that they missed the mark and Forbidden West will have its free upgrades as promised. However, going forward, all other titles will need a $10 fee to allow cross-gen upgrades, including God of War Ragnarok and Gran Turismo 7. The fee continues to split opinion, as with games like Ghost of Tsushima, its upgrade did include enhancements and features that were only able to be used via the PS5. However, others argue that of Sony's arrogance of winning last generation, they think people will buy it anyway. Much like with PlayStation 3's launch, and have shot themselves in the foot because Microsoft's smart delivery feature, Game Pass and their backward support of next-gen titles on the older systems via cloud-based streaming seems a far better deal on paper. This generation is still in its early days, but there does seem a wide divide between the two. At the start of this month, it was noted that the European games rating system PEGI had updated their definitions to include that of gambling within the game, will now carry an 18 rating. Up until recently, these games could get away with a PEGI 12 or a PEGI 16, but since 2020, that is no longer the case. Here's a quote by a VSC Game Rating Board spokesperson explaining the changes. In 2020, the PEGI criteria were changed so that, in the future, any games featuring moving images that teach and/or glamorize the use of games of chance that are played or carried out as a traditional means of gambling will be rated PEGI 18. This refers to types of betting or gambling for money that is normally played or carried out in casinos, gambling halls, or racetracks. It does not cover games where betting or gambling is simply part of the general storyline. The game must actually teach the player how to gamble or bet and/or glamorize gambling. For example, this will include games that teach the player how to play card games that are usually played for money, or how to play the odds in horse racing. Good news for some games, however, for others it turns the whole thing on its head. One such title is that of Overboard, a murder mystery text adventure, which normally would get away with a PEGI 12 rating. However, due to its section where the player enjoys a game of blackjack for its release on the Switch, it now carries a PEGI 18 rating. One of the reasons why this gained traction in the news is that of the Pokemon series, in which several of the games had the Game Corner, which includes slot machines, featured in the first few generation titles, prompting speculation over the title's rating going forward. PEGI stepped in to clarify that straight re-releases would carry its original rating, nor would they retroactively change ratings going forward. However, any game which has been upgraded, modernised, reinterpreted or reshuffled in any way receives a new rating due to it being classed as a new title. This means a straight port of Pokemon Red or Blue would be fine, but it begs the question of that of November's release Brilliant Diamond and Shining Pearl. Would this be inadvertently Pokemon's first 18 rated title? Probably not. It seems the issue may already have been sidestepped. In previous remakes, such as Heart Gold and Soul Silver, they had their slots replaced with a new minigame, Voltorb Flip. In Pokemon Platinum, the slots were disabled, whereas in Omega Ruby and Alpha Sapphire, the game corner was closed completely. So, as it stands, children will not need their parents' permission to buy Pokemon going forward, unless they finally release the Bikini James edition. I think in one of our videos, or maybe a fever dream, we may have mentioned that PlayerUnknown Battlegrounds got rebranded as just its popular term PUBG, with games going forward having subtitles like PUBG Battlegrounds. Yes, we can hear you screaming, but, Krem did the same thing. Well, to further confuse matters, Eurogamer reported that PlayerUnknown himself, Brendan Green, has left PUBG's parent company Krafton, creating a new indie company, PlayerUnknown Productions. This could explain the brand change to PUBG, but that puts into question Brendan's 2019 studio, PUBG Special Projects, and its project Prologue. It seems Prologue may have moved to the new studio, as the original trailer is featured on that site. Whatever that ends up as, I'm sure we'll know in time. We don't normally cover early access content changes, as everything is subject to change before release. However, this is a big one. Coffee Stain released its dev blog for Update 5 for Satisfactory, where they covered all the new building items, which Lucian has finally caved as much greebling is to be had. Its major change is that of the way the game handles collision. Normally the game didn't allow anyone to cross through walls or buildings, but due to a bug, players found a way around that. In Update 4 this was initially fixed, but then retracted after player feedback. In Update 5 this gets unfixed further as the devs are implementing soft collision, which basically means all pipes, belts, walls and foundations ignore collision detection, allowing for more unique buildings going forward. Hard collision will still impact factory items, so you can't place a constructor directly on top of a coal power plant, for example. This change greatly changes the way the players will design their factories going forward. However, Update 5 still has yet to get a release, but we can't wait for it. For the rest of the update video, check the links in the description below. And now we're on to this week's releases. On the 14th, we have, as mentioned earlier, Deathloop is a first-person shooter where you are trapped in a time loop with the people in control of it. Kill them all to escape, while being hunted by your adversary. Available on PC and PS5. On the 15th, we have Timberborn is a city survival sim with beavers. Plan your settlement while surviving harsh droughts and other natural disasters which are trying to wipe you off the map. Available on PC in early access. On the 16th, we have What If Tony Hawk Was Actually a Hawk? Find out in Skatebird. Flip, grind and manual your way around your miniature play area. Available on PC, Xbox One and Switch. Eastward is an adventure game where you explore the near future after societal collapse, wielding your frying pan and magic? Available on PC and Switch. And the latest expansion to the runaway success Valheim, Hearth and Home, arrives for all to play. Discover better food and cooking, more complex home building and other goodies. Available on PC. Darkest Dungeon meets 80 Days meets Greatest Showman in this deck building game The Amazing American Circus. Build your circus from ruin to greatness and put on the best show ever. Available on PC, PlayStation, Xbox and Switch. On the 17th we have Hollow Knight meets Sekiro, but you're a mouse? Tales of Iron is an RPG adventure with brutal combat and 2D platforming, coming to PC, PlayStation, Xbox and Switch. Play as an assassin with the ability to control shadows in Aragami 2. Following on from the well-received Aragami, join the Shadow Clan and fight the invading armies to protect your people. Available on PC, PlayStation and Xbox. And that's it for this week's A Few Bits of News. Tune in next Monday for more news across the gaming industry, and as always, don't forget to like, comment and subscribe, as well as hit that bell to get notified of the next video. If you'd like to chat with us live, then come join me every Tuesday, Wednesday and Friday evening over on Twitch. Otherwise, we'll see you below in the comments.